Hi, I'm Brian Wilson with WerkMaster, and today we're going to be talking about comparing the conventional technology for refinishing hardwood floors, whether it's a stained floor, whether it's aluminum oxide floor or an engineered hardwood floor, versus the WerkMaster Rasp technology. When we think about refinishing a hardwood floor, we always think about the big machine, which is either a drum sander or a belt sander. And that's usually what we use for the first cut. And as a result of that, it requires a skill level that many people don't have. And compounding the problem is that you still have to edge. And the edging part of the process can be very tricky for some people because you have to blend the sandpaper with what you've got on the belt sander in terms of the grit and the pattern. After that, you're going to use, possibly, many people today are using what they call a multi-disc, which is really a burnisher with a special head underneath it that you put sandpaper on. It's really a rotary style of machine. It has a shaft in the middle, and it turns either 3 heads, and we've seen in the industry up to 6 heads. What makes the WerkMaster Rasp so unique in the hardwood floor refinishing industry? Well, for one thing, it really replaces 4 machines. The Rasp is a floor sander, it's a multi-disc, it's a edger, edging right within 1/8 of an inch of the wall or to the wall, depending on the tooling we're using, and it is also a buffer. But there is a bonus. There's a bonus that none of the other machines in the industry can do. This also removes carpet glue, thin set, epoxy paint, the remnants from a rubberback carpet that's been pulled up off the floor, and any other type of residues that you'll find on a regular hardwood floor or a plywood floor. It also will flatten the floor. But the nice thing is, it will do that not only on wood, but it also does it on concrete. The Rasp features a sandpaperless system on the first cut. So what does that mean? Well, let me show you. The main advantage of our sandpaperless technologies is we're using diamond impregnated tools that were designed for the concrete industry. But we redeveloped them and managed to make them work perfectly on wood floors. These tools will last for over 100,000 square feet of refinishing wood floors. When you think about that, the cost per square foot of these tools is the lowest in the entire industry. And as a matter of fact, I've said to some of the older fellows, you'll be retired before these tools wear out. So let's take a few minutes to talk about the WerkMaster sandpaperless system. The sandpaperless system is really for the first cut on the floor. After that, we'll be transitioning to a special type of sandpaper that's unique in the industry. But let's start with our 2 options. For aluminum oxide, we use the S segs. You can see the shape of them are shaped like an S. These are long life tools. They'll be able to last for hundreds of thousands of square feet on wood. And when we think about that, the cost of sandpaper today, especially trying to remove aluminum oxide finishes, can be very expensive. We'll also talk a little bit about our Turbo Rasp tooling. This tooling is designed to also be used on aluminum oxide finishes, as well as on your standard sealers that you'll find on most hardwood floors. As well as that, they're an amazing tool on a wood deck to prep your wood deck to get it ready to refinish. So as we go through the system, our first step would be to start with our 50-60 grit S-segs or our 50-60 grit Turbo Rasp. Following that, we'll demonstrate our Turbo Braid paper, and that's a 60 grit paper. The third step will be our Turbo Finish. And this is the last step. Typically, it's an 80 grit paper. It's the last grit you'll probably need to do on the floor unless you're on maple or some of the hardwoods like Brazilian cherry, and you're going to stain. So if that's the case, you'll probably go to the 100 grit of this same product. We also have a unique finishing pad. It's a 600 grit pad for really high-end floors where you want to ensure that there's absolutely no defects in the floor, there's no scratches, no micro scratches or anything, you can use this product as well. And finally, if you want to stain the floor, we have our special pads that you can put on and apply stain with them. But you can also use this pad to give your last burnish to the floor. So it acts like a burnisher. It cleans anything else that's up on the floor and gives you a perfect look. So when you've watched those videos, have you ever noticed if they're just doing a demonstration like we're doing today on a floor? This is an aluminum oxide finished floor that we'll be working with today. But when you watch those videos, do you notice something that's missing? They never have walls like we have. And why is that? Because they don't necessarily want to take you through and show you just the challenge of taking a belt or drum sander in a room, and this is a small room, we could call it a closet, for example, to show what the results are of using that technology and how much edging you have left to do on your hands and knees. So we finished with the 60 grit turbo braid, and now we're going to move on to our 80 grit turbo finish. We've got the micro bevels are out of the floor is nice and smooth, so we'll just finish up and see how it looks. Uh, 80 grit creates a very smooth floor. And if you're going to stain at this point, you will want a water pop. If you're going to put your sealers on, whatever the product is you're planning on using, this is a perfect finish for you. But one of the things we want to always check for are sanding marks, tool marks in the floor that is a result of the papers that you're using. So here we see we've got a very strong light, and no matter where we look at, this floor doesn't have a mark in it at all. It's extremely smooth, and it's really nicely finished. It's a floor that you will be proud of. And so you can see by the steps that we did in this process, when you compare our technology to the existing wood flooring technology, it's a much easier to operate system. It's something that even a DIY person who has really no experience will have a better opportunity to deliver a really good floor without having to deal with the edging, the stall marks, the chatter marks, the tool marks that can derive from whatever product you're using, whatever equipment you're using on your floor. So thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We have a number of video links that'll be in our description that takes you to other products and how to sand floors, not using our technology, but using other technology that you can compare their system to our system.